And we are live. Hello, welcome everybody to the post-match review show of Manchester United versus Wolves. We have earned a creditable win, an injury time winner from Marcus Rashford, the man of the moment, and a very valuable and ultimately good win for us. I'm joined by Pankaj. How are you, Pankaj?
I'm good, man. I mean, I was really nervous. During the game, I thought, here we go again. It's gonna be a draw. But Rashford was the one to do it. He's a moments player, and he did it in that moment which we needed. So yeah,
Yes,
that was really crucial. Fine margins, man. Fine margins.
indeed.
So
Yeah. So yes, let's go. Let's get into the match, shall we? So first of all, Pankaj, what were your sort of thoughts in terms of the team selection that Ollie opted for today? What did you think of that? Did you think the formation and the personnel were correct, or would you have made any alterations to it?
I thought he could have gone with Harmony and Fred for this game, but I think Pogba and I wouldn't have mind Pogba and Fred, but I think he could have gone with instead of Matic in that game, which was a bit, and he made too many changes, and I think he made 6, 7 changes, I guess. Apart from obviously Bruno and Rashford play in every game. I think everyone came in fresh apart from them, and I think he made a lot of changes. So that was a bit which I didn't like. But and apart from that, I think it's the first half. I think the intensity was there, but we couldn't find the spaces, and we kind of, when Rashford was going inside the box, he was just standing still over there and picking a pass, looking for a pass that he could have run inside the box or try and make some movements in the box instead of just looking for a pass.
Yeah,
He could have made some movements and let someone else make the pass because everyone in the all of the pitch was where they were acting like playmakers and stuff. So they were taking too much time in the final third to make that pass and all. I only remember one chance we had, which was the Bruno one in the first half. So that was one real chance we had.
yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, that's perfect. So let's just quickly get this one in from Dia, which kind of sort of echoes your sentiments really, which is shame that in the first half we didn't get anything on target. Obviously, like you sort of said, we created very little. There was quite a lack of willing runners, or at least there was it seemed the game was very tight. What I would say on that point is that. We have we would always seem to struggle against Wolves. If we have had quite a few draws against them at Old Trafford, obviously since they came back up, and this again was quite a tight and even encounter, quite a tight and even encounter. So it was, it was quite a difficult first half for us. I thought that both teams really struggled to impose themselves on the match. There was lots of sort of passing, but it was quite slow and ponderous. There wasn't necessarily any quick passing. I'm pretty sure we heard from the bench as well, which the sort of commentators were echoing, that United were being asked by, I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to play the ball quicker and faster, especially in that final third. And it did seem that all we seemed to do was, quite slow, poor passing really in that final third. Nothing really to be created. The only sort of thing that we did create was, as you sort of mentioned, the Bruno chance. Mason Greenwood, who had been quite quiet up until that point, I felt, with some great trickery and skill. Obviously, with the quick feet, and then a really fabulous cross, sort of curling cross into that back post. And obviously, Bruno does have what for a player of his standards would be a relatively easy chance. In terms of the fact that he got ahead of the defender, and really, if it had gone either side of the keeper, if he managed to have significant contact, it probably would have been a goal against Rui Patricio. But other than that, we did seem to lack creativity and cutting edge. Really, that was obviously our only sort of chance in that first half of any note. What did you think about our overall defending in that first half? Obviously, we've spoken about the attacking threat that we did or didn't have, as we felt, both of us. But what did you think about our overall defending and team shape? Because just to add on to that point, we have seen in quite a few matches this season that we have gone behind, or obviously we've been quite shocking at the back, conceding a lot of goals. So obviously, overall, a clean sheet is very positive. So what did you think was good about our solidity in that first half?
I think the defense was okay. It was good. I mean, defensively, really good. I think Bai made some really good recovery, um, blocks. And I, the only problem I had is we conceded a couple of set pieces in the first half, which could have been easily converted into goals. So I think that was the issue I had. And obviously De Gea made some crucial saves. So you know that he made some really crucial saves in that. From a set piece, that save he made and was really crucial. I think in the first half. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, as you sort of mentioned, De Gea was excellent actually in those sort of circumstances. What you always need from your goalkeeper is for him to step up, and make those vital blocks and saves, especially when the game is as tight as we probably should have predicted against Wolves. I felt that what was very positive from us was that Wolves, have been shown to be quite a slick counter-attacking team and quite fast and rapid in transition. And I thought that even though we did, especially towards the sort of latter stages of that first half, even when we were dominating the ball, I always felt like we had Wolves in almost the sort of palm of our hands, really, and that it was more well contained, and that we were able to circumvent or at least counteract that attack, especially by playing obviously Bai, who I thought was absolutely excellent. There was a particular moment in that first half where almost towards the end where we thought that, but we did think Wolves were going to be on the break, and I think Adama Traore had the ball and was obviously running very quickly and directly towards Maguire, and it was just Maguire and Bay versus him, and I can't remember who the other one was that was up with Traore. But obviously Traore was attempting to go past Harry Maguire, but Eric Bailly stepped right across, and Adama Traore Adama Traore had second thoughts about trying to get past Maguire because he knew that Bailly would cover it, and obviously Bailly intercepted. So yeah, I think Eric Bailly, especially in that first half, was very positive in terms of his interceptions and play, and also allowed us to play slightly higher up the field. So yeah, defensively we were quite solid. Obviously, in summary, really, that first half, what sort of surprised me was how, with all those sort of attacking players that we had, obviously we had Edinson Cavani, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, obviously Pogba and Bruno as well in the team. It surprised me how little we created. It was very there wasn't the running around the box, as we've already sort of mentioned, and there was a real lack of quality, and sharpness to the play. That's the sort of thing that we really do need to improve upon, I think, is how we sort of look at these games and try and win them in the first half, and the intensity wasn't there, which I am quite surprised about. The fact is, we obviously drew against Leicester, as we know, at the weekend, and Liverpool straight after us almost obviously drew against West Brom. So it gave us another opportunity, another chance to close the gap on Liverpool. So it's very important to take it. And I felt like we didn't, in that first half especially, we really weren't taking the opportunity as it was presented to us. So yeah, quite a disappointing first half, all told. Obviously, then we sort of move on to the second half as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made us obviously the substitution, bringing on Luke Shaw. How did you feel like, if we sort of take that into consideration, did you feel like Luke Shaw had a good game?
Yeah, I think he brought in some intensity, but I don't think so. He had that much of an influence, but obviously he brought in some intensity in the game and some, some pace to the game, some freshness as well. So yeah, I think that substitution was really important in the game. That's what I think, and as well as Martial coming in for Greenwood, so that we could keep up the pace and keep on going, keep on going, keep on pressing them. in certain positions. And I think we did it from the 80th minute onwards. I think we kept on pressing a lot. So and we kept on going. I think we wanted to go for the win. We always going for the win. So in the end, we got there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. So, yeah, obviously Luke Shaw brought on.
Mhm.
I did think that Luke Shaw did have quite a positive and strong and good game, because you know ultimately there was particularly a passage of play where again Wolves were breaking, and what I thought Luke Shaw did, there's an excellent tackle that he made as well on Traore, I believe
Mhm.
it was, which sort of knocked the stuffing out of him, and that really did sort of sum up what a positive and strong game I think Luke Shaw had in that second half. Um, and then, of course, like you said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we were still, even at that particular juncture, we were still sort of struggling, I think, to create anything. Like, again, there was a Paul Pogba rasping drive, wasn't there, from just outside the area, which obviously Rui Patricio saved relatively comfortably.
Yeah.
There was a few opportunities, obviously, where players could have potentially done better. Obviously, Pogba was still trying the ball over the top to Rashford, but nothing obviously seemed to be coming off. And then, as you said, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought on Anthony Martial for Mason Greenwood, wasn't it? That he was brought on for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was clearly quite a tactical and key substitution in terms of hoping to open up Wolves slightly more, and obviously hoping to use Martial's hold up play and some of his more intricate play, in terms of hoping to get to garner the winner. How did you think that did you think that the referee had any sort of influence in terms of how that game transpired or how it progressed, really? Because
Mhm.
from my own sort of point of view, I thought that the referee was quite key in terms of
Mhm.
some of his decisions and some of the ways that the game was quite disjointed, shall I say? So how do you think the referee? Obviously, I think it was John Moss, wasn't it, who was the referee?
Mhm.
How do you think his performance had an impact on how the game progressed?
Yeah. I think there was one incident where Rashford was fouled in the box. I think he should have given that foul because I think he was onside, right? I think Rashford. I mean, he was just onside and they gave it offside. So if there was maybe a goal or something, or they would have checked it, but just because he's just fouled or something, they didn't bother to check it. And the handball incident as well. I think was it twice. I think the first one. I think it should have been a handball because what is the rule like? If it hits your hand,
Yeah,
it's a
so I
foul.
think
I
I think
don't
they've
understand.
slightly changed the rule, because I believe that the first
Yeah.
sort of iteration of the rule initially was that if it hit your hand at all, it was a penalty. But obviously, because more and more penalties were being given in those opening weeks of the Premier League, they changed it to obviously the hand in an unnatural position sort of thing.
Mm,
So that's why I think maybe they didn't give it. But obviously,
yeah.
from my own point of view, it felt like um, it felt like some of our players were receiving harsher censure than
Mm,
um, some of their players. Particularly, there were some particularly savage tackles that from their players, which John Moss was uninterested by. But obviously, any sort of
mm,
time, for example, obviously Rashford, it was incredibly petulant and was definitely a yellow card. But obviously for his hack back on their right back. But some of the challenges that they made as well were absolutely terrible. And it seemed like Wolves
mhm,
had a game plan, obviously, to gain the draw, and were going for that point. And some of the fouling and the way that they were, particularly in that second half, they were obviously, lots of gamesmanship was being, utilised by Wolves. Feigning injuries, all sorts of time wasting, which eventually he obviously gave a yellow card to Rui Patricio for taking absolutely ages on his kick. But ultimately, like I said, Wolves had clearly sort of by that point were clearly camped in their own half, kicking the life out of Manchester United. And really, like I said, there were so many decisions and free kicks, and that it was hard to get a real flow to the game. And I think that definitely
mhm.
did impact on what the game was as a spectacle. So I just thought it was interesting to bring that in at this juncture. Um, Let's do a quick few shout outs at this point. So we've got Ardy in here. Ardy is not here, and he said dreadful today. Yep. Ultimately, I think overall the performance wasn't the best, and I think we've sort of touched on that. I think as a subject. Obviously, we've got Dedrick in the house as well. Just says, "Hey guys," and we've also got Psycho Anon, who just says hi. It's very grateful for you to join us, Psycho. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe if you are new here, and we will. Nice saves. That's fine. That's perfect. Okay, so yeah, as I said, I just thought it was interesting to bring that in there because I think John Moss definitely wasn't. It definitely did seem like some of the decisions were quite unfavourable for us, unnecessarily so. Yeah, and as I said, the other thing I was sort of going to bring in here was: do you feel like David De Gea at the moment is much like Victor? We obviously recently found out that Victor Lindelof was harbouring an injury, that he then aggravated against obviously quite recently. Do you think like David De Gea? Do you feel like David De Gea has got a an injury that he's carrying? And was it also exacerbated, obviously, as we saw in that match? And do we feel like we need to rotate now with Henderson to try and protect him?
I think we do, because Henderson is a really good backup goalkeeper. He's not actually a backup goalkeeper. He was the number one for Sheffield in the Premier League. So obviously he's a proven goalkeeper. So it's he wouldn't just come in. It's like he's another option which would add depth to the squad. So if David De Gea is injured, you bring him on. So it's like with Telles. If Telles gets injured, you have Shaw, and then you have someone else to cover up, maybe Williams or. So it's good to have some sort of depth in the squad when you get injuries. So yeah, I think it's important to protect him as well.
Yeah, it was quite innocuous, really, the sort of foul that took place. I'm just quite worried, like I said, that Ollie, it seems like, does play players through injury. Whether that's on the advice of the medical department or not. We do see quite a few players. We have seen it over the last year or so. We have seen quite a few players who we've later discovered have had injuries. And obviously, when they get injured and have a longer layoff because they are playing. So I was just quite concerned with David De Gea, and I know that recently in a couple of matches, De Gea's been involved in quite nasty knocks and has maybe picked up injuries and so forth, and he was out, obviously, and that's how Henderson got a chance quite recently as well. So it was quite unfortunate, really. It was just obviously David De Gea getting rid of the ball, and then as he sort of stepped back into Adama Traore, who's definitely not the best person you want to step into because of his stature, and obviously De Gea went down went down quite badly, but obviously seemed okay and didn't get taken off. So hopefully he can hopefully there's nothing sort of long term in that. But as I said, it was just another point I wanted to raise as well because at this point, because I do feel like De Gea, it seems like, is in the wars quite a lot now. He does seem to be picking up quite a few of these little niggling knocks, so to speak. So obviously the second half progressed, and what I would say as well is that we, as I sort of mentioned previously, it didn't feel like we were having any chances. Or many chances, I should say. Do you feel like, Pankaj, do you feel like Ollie made the correct decision to only bring on Martial, given the fact that obviously he did have a third substitution? And did you always feel like we were going to get that eventual winner in injury time?
That's what I don't get. I mean, Ollie's a bit naive in terms of his decision in substitutions. We've seen that in the past, but I think maybe he was saving it for the later stage. Maybe for the 89th, 90th minute. To get something out of the game. But eventually Rashford scored, so that was the best time to bring McTominay on. You bring in someone fresh to just see out the game, and but it's kind of that. I think he should have brought in 2 more substitutions, I guess. So yeah. Apart from
Yes. So obviously got Carmu here as well. Carmu the boss. Hey, he says. Nice to see you again, Carmu. I sort of agree with that, really. All's well that ends well, really, with the goal. But from my sort of point of view, I did feel like we were heading to that stalemate. You do always want that one chance, but as I think a commentator mentioned as well, and I was sort of thinking it at the same time, with Manchester United teams of old, when we were fighting for titles or obviously major championships and things of that ilk, we were definitely far stronger in those closing stages. If the game was heading into a draw, we'd have, in previous, iterations of great teams that we've had or great sides, we would have just disappeared there. We would have in previous great sides, we would have really thrown the kitchen sink. We would have had lots and lots of shots and lots of chances. But other than obviously when Rashford scored, I can't really think. Obviously, there was the Pogba long range shot. There are a few dangerous points up in their penalty area. We did have, obviously, Cavani did put, we should mention that as well, Cavani did put the ball in the net, but was flagged correctly offside. And obviously we did have, and that was what you sort of spoke about as well, there was a penalty shout within that. But unfortunately, obviously the new sort of, revisions to the rule mean that wasn't going to be a penalty because it was, accidental. But other than that, we didn't really necessarily create much. And it did seem like the game was, going into a very disappointing 0-0 draw. What were your thoughts in terms of the goal that we scored? What were your sort of impressions about how well that goal was taken by Marcus Rashford?
I just think he needs to shoot more than, to be honest, because when he shoots out of the box, sometimes it gets like maybe it hits the post, goes in, or something happens. It takes a deflection, goes in. I think he needs to take more shots. And when he went in the box, I was like, when are you gonna shoot? Just shoot it. Just shoot it. Just go for it. Like something might happen, and then it got deflected and went in. So, and I was like, did it? I was like, even I didn't even realize that it went in. I was like, did it go in? And then I saw him celebrating, and then it's like, yeah, it. So yeah, it's fine margins, man. I mean, this sort of margins decide. If you are in a title challenge, it decides, whether you're going to win the title or not. It's those little margins which decides the whole thing. So it's important. It was important 3 points, massive 3 points, man.
100%, yeah. I thought on the goal, I think Bruno did excellently, obviously dropping deep. Fabulous ball over the top. Rashford again, always the willing runner. That's one thing we can definitely say about Marcus Rashford, is even when he doesn't necessarily have a good game, he's always going to be willing to run onto a ball and obviously collects it and then just comes inside. And as you said, he does need to shoot more, because obviously you never score the goals when you don't shoot. And obviously again, we are quite fortunate because it comes off a defender. And when you sort of look at the goal back, it is, as you've sort of spoken about, the finest of margins, because that ball only just creeps in that post. And if you saw it was literally like a few millimeters or so inside the post, that could easily have hit the post or gone wide. It's slimmest of margins, but ultimately, obviously, as you said, it didn't even necessarily seem to be a goal, but obviously Rashford wheeled away, and obviously everyone's celebrating, and all Manchester United fans are extremely happy about a decisive win, which could be exceptionally important, obviously in the event of that we are in a race now towards the top. And we've got Ha Banter just doing a bit of his usual comments. It's goddamn, this channel's fallen off, and yeah, it's pretty dead now. GG's. Okay, so we've got Banter in there as well. So what overall, obviously, an incredibly important win. Who did you feel like was your sort of taking the overall game into context now? Who do you feel like was your man of the match?
I got to give to David because of the saves he made, the crucial saves he made, and I think he has made some silly mistakes in the past, and he's been really good today, and all credit goes to him. I remember the Southampton game, he made a mistake, I think. Was it, he could have saved that free kick or something, or he just, something happened. So there were a few games he had some shaky moments, but this game he was pretty solid, and he made some very good saves. So he's my man of the match for today. Yeah.
Yes, he was very good. Obviously, as you said, made a few excellent saves, kept us in this kept us in the hunt, obviously, and eventually we got the winner. For me, I've got to give man of the match to Eric Bailly. I thought overall today I lost track of the amount of times that his running and determination and resolve to bail out Harry Maguire, really did help us so many times. I thought it was quite incredible how much how
Hmm.
almost every single opportunity that when it felt like Wolves were going to attack against Harry Maguire, Bailly was right there. He was so alert to the danger and so instinctive and obviously playing exceptionally well. I felt today really did help out with maintaining the clean sheet for David De Gea and for the team. And obviously, if you manage to keep a clean sheet, you only need one goal to win the
Yeah.
match. Obviously, how it proved. Just an overall sort of question then in terms of what our sort of season's aspirations can now be following this win. Where do you feel like we're going in a positive direction, and do you feel like the match at Anfield in a couple of weeks' time, do you feel like it now will have added significance in
Yeah.
terms of where we can end up this season?
You know what? Seriously, I would take a point at Anfield. I would take a point. Even I would even take a point. I want us to win, but I would take a point at Anfield because it's so crucial, right? It's if we are like winning games, right, and if this form still continues and we get a lot of wins from now on, I think the Anfield game I would take a point, to be honest, because if Liverpool drop off points, so that's going to be really crucial in how we're going to challenge. And I still think we shouldn't get carried away because. Have Leicester in form as well. You have other teams in form, so you know shouldn't get carried away. The other teams in form as well. So and I think it's still an open season for everyone apart from Arsenal maybe. So yeah, it's pretty open. Chelsea are the City, Man City are the a couple Leicester, Everton. So it's pretty open.
Yes.
Still pretty open. Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely tight. I think at that in that top half of the table, so many teams very close together in terms of sort of points and in terms of the overall play and lots of. I think I almost heard a sort of statistic that no team I think has won more than 4 games in a row in this season. So it just shows that everyone's taking at the moment anyway. Everyone's taking points off one another, and it's whomever can be the most consistent over this period. And certainly now we are obviously a couple of points off Liverpool. The same amount of games played, 15 in all. And we do really now obviously need to beat Aston Villa. I think we're playing them on Friday, aren't we? So we need to beat them on Friday at Old Trafford, and obviously then the very next match is Liverpool away. So it has taken on a lot more added significance. Obviously, myself and Dia spoke about it after the weekend's match against Leicester. It is very important that we continue to start winning these games and really sort of mounting a challenge. And it does mean that obviously we're halfway through the job that we set them. We've beaten Wolves by 1-0. Obviously, we have to beat Aston Villa now in order to really have a chance of supplanting or usurping Liverpool at Anfield. So overall, very happy, obviously, with the result. Not necessarily a very good performance, but it's a sign of a very good team when you can win without playing well. And ultimately, that's something that United need to start doing if we are hoping to challenge for major honours, which hopefully in a few months' time we will be doing so. So, yeah, overall, an excellent result, a good victory. And yeah, very, very positive. Looking forward to the Villa match on Friday. So I think that sort of concludes our match review. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add to the discussion at all that we hadn't sort of raised.
No, I mean everything it all depends upon how our form is, but I think we still shouldn't get carried away, anyways. And the team, it's good we are playing, we're building up some consistency. I think the Leicester game was unlucky. I guess it was a good game. It was unlucky. Swansea had a deflection, so it was a bit unlucky with the Wadi goal. But nevertheless, I think we're still in the race for something. Maybe you
Yes.
never know. But yeah, I think the Villa game is going to be crucial because I think we lost their last time at home. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
100%. We need to obviously win that match. Did you want
Yeah.
to shout out any of your social media at all before we wrap things
I
up?
mean, you can follow me, Pankaj. So, Pehlwani1. So you can follow me over there. Yeah, nothing else.
Excellent.
But
And
yeah,
myself, I'm George Kyle. You can follow me on my Twitter. It's at George Kyle, and then it's 9, so the number 9 at the end of it. Um, Obviously, overall for the channel, it's at the Real United Talk. Make sure that don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe, and do all those good things. We are looking to bring you, more regular content. Obviously, discussing the ins and outs of matches and so forth. So make sure that you do get involved if you do enjoy the content, and share it, and hopefully we can grow this wonderful channel. Further and further as we move into the new year. But that's all from me, and
yeah,
all from Pankaj as well. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and take care.
yeah.